Hello, everybody. This is question three of 100 clinically oriented anatomy questions. Let's get straight into it. It says a 30-year-old male suffered a superior gluteal nerve injury in a motorcycle crash in which his right lower limb was caught beneath the bike, stabilized in the emergency department. Later, he is examined and he exhibits a waddling gait and a positive Trendelenburg sign. Which of the following will be the most likely physical finding in this patient? Option A says difficulty in standing from a sitting position. Option B says the left side of the pelvis drops or sags when he attempts to stand with his weight supported just by the right lower limb. Option C says the right side of the pelvis drops or sags when he attempts to stand with his weight supported just by the left lower limb. Option D says weakened flexion of the right hip and then difficulty in sitting from a standing position. So I've underlined the important things we need to focus on in the question. Superior gluteal nerve injury caused a positive Trendelenburg sign. And what is the Trendelenburg sign? Trendelenburg sign is as a result of pelvic sagging due to paralysis of the gluteus medius and the gluteus minimus muscle. And this what causes the paralysis of these muscles is basically the injury to the superior gluteal nerve, which supplies these two muscles, right? So if the nerve that supplies the muscle is injured, the muscle will definitely paralyze. So that is what actually happens in Trendelenburg sign. Now, in a normal person, when your left foot is off the ground, the right pelvis supports the left pelvis. When your left pelvis is off the ground, that is during motion, when the left pelvis is off the ground, the right pelvis supports or stabilizes the left pelvis that is off the ground. Same thing happens in the reverse. When your right foot is off the ground, the left pelvis is going to stabilize that right pelvis that is off the ground. That's how it works naturally. Now, in a patient that has Trendelenburg sign, if it's a right superior gluteal nerve injury, just like the one this patient had, has the patient has, said in a motorcycle crash in which his right lower limb was caught beneath the bike. So it is safe to say that it is the right superior gluteal nerve that was affected. So in cases like that, when you have the right superior gluteal nerve injured, it means that when the left foot is off the ground, naturally the right pelvis is supposed to support that left foot that is off the ground. Let's come again. The right superior gluteal nerve is injured, right? If the left foot is now off the ground, the right pelvis is naturally supposed to support that left pelvis that is off the ground. Now, in this case, now it will not be possible because the muscles that stabilize the pelvis, that is the gluteus medius and the minimus, are already paralyzed, which means that there's going to be a pelvic drop or pelvic sag at that left lower limb that was raised off the ground. Do you get? So the right superior gluteal nerve was injured is going to cause a pelvic drop or a pelvic sag on the left leg, that is on the opposite leg. So let's flip it over now. If it was the left superior gluteal nerve that was injured, when the right foot is off the ground, the left foot that is supposed to support that pelvis of the right foot will not be possible. It will not be able to do it since the muscles are paralyzed already. So it's going to cause a right pelvic drop or a right pelvic sag. So it is just like an alternate thing. So when the left superior gluteal nerve is injured, there's going to be a right pelvic drop or a right pelvic sag. And when the right superior gluteal nerve is injured, there's going to be a left pelvic drop or a left pelvic sag. So I believe that is clear enough. So let's go through the options that we have. Difficulty in standing from a sitting position. Difficulty in standing from a sitting position is mainly controlled by the gluteus maximus, and the gluteus maximus is supplied by the inferior gluteal nerve, which is not affected in this case, which means option A is not what we will consider. Option B says the left side of the pelvis drops when he attempts to stand with his weight supported just by the right lower limb. Now, don't forget that the right lower limb was affected, the right superior gluteal nerve was affected, and we said or we established that when the right superior gluteal nerve is affected, there's going to be a left pelvic drop or a left pelvic sag when the left foot is off the ground. So that is what happens in option B here. The left side of the pelvis drops or sags when he attempts to stand with his weight supported just by the right lower limb. That is the correct answer. So here is the correct answer. Option B is our correct answer. Now let's continue. Option C, the right side of the pelvis drops or sags when he attempts to stand with his weight supported just by the left lower leg. The only condition where you can have a right pelvic drop or a right pelvic sag is when you have the left superior gluteal nerve injured. And in this case, we don't have that. It is the right superior gluteal nerve that was injured, which means it will cause a left pelvic drop or a left pelvic sag. So option C is also wrong. Weakened flexion of the right hip. Flexion at the hip is majorly controlled by the iliopsoas muscle, and the iliopsoas is supplied by the femoral nerve, right? So the other muscles that flex the hip are the rectus femoris and the sartorius muscle, and these are all supplied by the femoral nerve, which is not the case here. Option E, difficulty in sitting from a standing position is still controlled by the gluteus maximus, which is supplied by the inferior gluteal nerve. So option B is our correct answer, and I believe that is very clear. See you in the next episode.